Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, the day after race day. And I know everyone's looking forward to what happened. Let's see what's going on. So here's the race report. One thing I will remind everybody of is MHOR is a fantastic facility. Love MHOR. They're actually going to have a vintage race in March. So I'm excited to see that happen. The other thing is, keep in mind, we are racing against modern cars. I mean, we're talking Mugans, B7s, Low Z50 Elites, etc. So we are trying desperately to modernize our vintage cars or make them as competitive as possible. And it would be a pretty big false hope thinking I was going to go there and win anything or really probably do that well, because MHOR is super competitive. I mean, MHOR is the home track to Dustin Evans, Cody Newendahl, Skylar Bergeron, Dominic Passion, and rest in peace, Matt Chambers. So there's a high level of competition there when we talk about, even in 21.5 and 17.5, two-wheel and four-wheel, there's some people getting after it. So let's talk a little bit about the results. So down there in the description, you're going to see a link to MHOR, and I am going to have this recap kind of in the description. And then if you want to see the actual race footage, go to the timestamps that I mentioned here, and you can watch Q1, Q2, Q3, and then the mains. And actually, I think we did a little bit better than I thought. I was a little bit disappointed in my two-wheel drive, and we'll get to that as we go through here. So let's start it out. So I showed up a little late, a little later than expected, and I only got about 3 minutes of practice on the new layout. So I took my Fan RC graphite out and got about 2 to 3 minutes out there before I had to bring it back in and start getting batteries charged up to start running qualifiers. So the other thing is my buddy Craig brought his RC10. And I'm going to tell you the difference between a Fan RC graphite and just a regular RC10 is I think my transmission's smoother. His motor was getting a little warm. And then he was having an issue with ball cups popping off. So immediately on an RC10, you're buying RPM ball cups to prevent them popping off. These are the standard kit ones from Fan RC. And this is now the 5th race weekend. I've never had a ball cup pop off. In fact, I've never broke anything. I mean, I've just kind of refreshed this car a little bit, and that's been about it. So I am going to change out the shock oil and refresh that, but that's about it on this. So the Fan RC graphite, I'm going to tell you, is if you're looking for a vintage RC10 platform, that is no doubt the way to go. So, my daughter's here bringing a little bacon. This early morning. She didn't bring my Mountain Dew, but is what it is. So, all right. Well, with that said, guys, let's talk a little bit about the racing. So, the first race, we were in race number 2 for 17.5 four-wheel drive, and there was 8 cars registered for that race. So, in qualifier, and actually, I'm going to talk about the 870. Because there was a pretty big difference here, guys. So, in the previous times I've raced this car, I've always felt the steering was like a little bit off, or like there just wasn't enough. And what caught me out a little bit by surprise, the steering's back. Like it steers. And I think there's a couple major things with that. And I think the first one was cutting the bumper back, or moving the bumper back, and getting it moved back And you can see this thing was ran pretty good. It was slapping like a frying pan. But moving this back was huge. It didn't scrub the face of the jumps. It always kept the tires in contact, which maybe led to that feeling of more steering. But this was a pretty tight track, and it seemed to steer pretty tight. So moving the bumper back, I do believe that the shock bottoms helped out a little bit. Maybe provided less flex with just one long standoff. So I felt I was getting a little bit better feedback there. And then I think the other thing is, man, I'm gonna have to redo this. Shock is gonna have to be redone, I think. Anyway, the steering bridge. Undoubtedly, the steering bridge helped. There is like no slop in this thing anymore, and it just seemed more direct to drive it. When I drove before, it kind of drove like a dump truck. The steering was a little vague, and now it's sharp. So, super happy with the 870C with those minor improvements. If you haven't seen those, look at the video library below, and you'll see the 870C modifications. But this thing was killer. Unfortunately, I disappointed everyone in the main, but other than that, man, it was a great car. It's going to be tough to run the Yokomo 91 Works instead of this at the next race meets. But we'll see. So, again, we started out qualifier number 1, 9 minutes into the video, 17.5 four-wheel drive. We started 6th. We kind of got some trouble in the beginning, and I was really having a hard time at MHOR with the double that's in the middle of the track. So for those of you that have been to MHOR, the driver's stand isn't parallel to anything. It's kind of 30 degrees angled at kind of one side of the track. And with my poor, I guess, lack of depth perception, the middle double was tough. In the middle double is there's a small double that you jump over, and then there's a small area, and it's turning to get to the second double. And when I could hit it with my RC10 and my 870C, I turned some decent lap times. When I couldn't, and you'll see in the video, I would double the first time, and then I would single if I couldn't get it lined up. Because if you were just a little bit off, you were jumping into traffic. You were jumping into the other lanes, and both of those were oncoming. So you had to be pretty precise in the small bores and even the big bores. And like I said, it's probably more my fault just with lack of practice. But that was tough to get that down consistently. Anyway, we started Q1. We started in 6th out of 8 cars. We raced pretty decent, and we turned a time of 19 laps in a 5:13 with a fast lap of 14.334, which ended us finishing 6th in that race, and hence we were sitting Q6. So not too bad. Didn't want to change anything. The car felt pretty good. I just need to practice more, and I don't, guys. And that's one thing that I spend so much time prepping my cars is because I don't get a lot of practice time. And so I pour a lot of time into car prep because that is critical. And so I spend hours and hours and hours prepping my cars just for 5-minute races. You know, last night it was 20 minutes, right? 4 or 5 minute heats. And I bet I have a good 20 hours into each of those cars. Yeah, maybe not that, but quite a bit. You know, prepping, checking stuff, making sure stuff's working right. Like I said, I totally refreshed my 870C. But that did pay off, I think. So Q1 4-wheel drive, sitting 6th, 19.513. Then we had the old Fan RC Graphite. So what we were doing, Q1 starts at 25 minutes in. Had a little rough Q1, getting used to the track and trying to catch my bearings there. But Q1, we turned 19 laps at a 5:04 with a fast lap of 14.68, which we finished 3rd in that heat And I think that put us at, I think his 8th overall, somewhere in there. So Q1 down in the books. Did pretty good. No changes to the cars. I figured I needed to drive a little bit better. So the next time we race, Q2 came up, and 1 hour, 36 minutes in the video, you'll see Q2 for four-wheel drive, 17.5. And that race was similar to the first. We're getting a little bit better handle and getting some practice in, and turned 19 laps at a 5:01. So getting really close to that 20 laps, which at MHOR you need to do 20 laps, no matter the configuration of the track. Unless they put alligators or something in there, I don't know. You need to be turning 20 laps, and at this track configuration, for both those classes, 21 to 22 laps is going to put you near the front. But we were trying to desperately get there, and Q2 just fell a little bit short. We did turn a fast lap, and actually our fastest lap was in Q2. We turned a 13.89 in Q2 on four-wheel drive, and that still landed us 6th overall there. So still sitting 6th in Q2 with the four-wheel drive. Q2 for our Fan RC Graphite. 1 hour, 51 minutes in the video. Again, trying to get a hold of the thing, running a little bit better. We, fortunately, the overall race time was a little bit slower. We did 19 laps at a 5:09. However, we did have our fastest lap in that qualifier at a 14.2, and we finished 4th in our heat, which then I think put us 10th or 11th overall, sitting there. So we had I believe 18 or 19 cars in 21.5 there. So we're sitting close to mid pack on that one. So Q3 didn't make any changes to the four-wheel drive. I felt it was just me. I just made sure stuff was tight and stuff was looking good, and it was. So we went out for Q3. Four-wheel drive, 2 hours, 57 minutes in the video below. And man, we were trying to put it down and giving her wood. And like I said, I still was having trouble with the double-double in the center. But we did pull off almost a 21-lap race pace. So we finished Q3 at 20 laps at a 5:06, missing 21 laps by 6 seconds, which, if I could clear that double-double, we'd be in the 21-lap range, I think, pretty easy with our 870C. Had a fast lap of 14.2, and we finished 5th in that qualifier, which put us starting 6th for the main. So they take your fastest round, and then that's where you land. So we were sitting 6 out of 8 cars with our 870C, and did not make any changes for that for the main. Q3. This was the one to watch. So MHOR does a resort after the first and second qualifier. It's kind of you kind of know where you're at as far as A, B, C main kind of lineup. And obviously, in their track, they can only run 8 cars per heat max. You can't fit 10. So to get into an A main, you need to be top 8. And at MHOR, that's tough. Unless only 8 guys show up for 14.5 or 17.5 four-wheel drive. And then you're automatically in the A, which we were. And we weren't the slowest. So that's good. We were sitting 6th against all those guys. So Q3, we were CQ. So A main, B main were set. We were on CQ. So we were starting in pole position in Q3. 3 hours, 5 minutes into the video below it more. And this is probably the race to watch. I think, well, maybe the main was, but and then before Q3, I don't know. I just felt like something was off. So we did a number of changes on our RC10 before Q3 because I knew right away that we were going to be starting either near the end of the B sort or the beginning of the C. I thought I was going to be the tail end of the B sort, but and it ended up being CQ. So one thing we did was we trimmed the wicker down on our wing. So we are at the lowest wicker setting on the Avid wing. The other thing is I like my spur gear, I think was, I think a few teeth on there were starting to go because I could kind of hear it coming by the driver's stand just a little. And so I did the Octalock conversion on this. So it's got the V2 upper slipper. If you haven't seen that video, look in the video library. So we went and we were running a 76. We went up to a 78, and then we went to the yellow Octalock pads, and we put that in the car. And then the other thing was, Spencer Rivkin has a good view on this in our diff. Our diff is super smooth. It's great in the fan RC. But if you would flick the tires, you would get about a rotation and a half to a rotation and 3/4. So we tightened up that diff slightly in the fan. And I think those changes paid off big time. And so Q3, we tried to put the wood down, and the fastest lap was my slowest lap. So 14.8 was our fastest lap. However, our race pace was pretty good. So we turned 20 laps in that heat at a 5:11. We won the third qualifier, and that qualified us 9th overall. So unfortunately for the main, we missed out the A bump by 0.2 of a second. So Russ got me and in his Mugen, I think, and we were 0.2 behind him. And actually the guys in front were only a second or two ahead of even Russ. So there was kind of 3 guys. There was 4 of us in there, and I was just 4th. I mean, I was just a couple tenths off of Russ and a handful of seconds back of the other guys. And we had the potential, and I think if I would have had some practice, and I think if I would have had a little bit better setup with trimming the wicker down, the Octalock and the diff set from Q1, I think we would have made some better headway. But is what it is, so but it was nice to pull off the win in Q3, and I thought that was going to get us the bump in the A, and unfortunately it made us BQ. So we were going to be starting the main on pole for 21.5 two-wheel drive, and then we were starting 6th for the A main in our Yokomo 870C. So let's get to the mains. For the 870C, 4 hours, 21 minutes into the video below at MHOR, because we don't have any fancy editing material over here at Vintage RC Vintage. It's too much time. So we're doing this as easy as possible. And some people may not even care to see the race footage, but if you do, it's down there and you can see. And like I said, guys, if I had more practice, I think my lines would have been better. I think we could have did a little bit better, and maybe next time I'll get there a little bit earlier. But for where we ended, I guess I was satisfied. So starting the A main with the 870, it was a disaster. We had a bunch of trouble. We ran our slowest race of the night. I was kind of short on the first double, and it was kicking my car over, and I think that happened 2 or 3 times in that main. And then I was just staying out of people's way because there was a pretty good race for kind of the front runner position, so I didn't want to get anyone's way, and we kind of just tooled around a little bit, and unfortunately ended the race at 18 laps at a 5:09, 14.15 fast lap. So we did set our second fast lap versus Q2 was in that race. And we did not finish last. We finished 7th, which was last because there was only 7 cars in that race, I think. So, yeah, I mean, just got kind of a bad start and just never recovered. And like I said, some bad driving on my part. We fell a little bit short with the 870C, but still had a good time. Did not break anything. Just need to make and I don't even know any changes I would make, guys. I'll probably Rebleed the shocks, and I think that's about it. And that's all I'm going to do, the 870, and that's going to go on the shelf for a while, but I am excited after last night to go race that down in Las Vegas. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the car I'm going to take. Man, it did fantastic, but we do have the Yokomo 91 works ready, so we are look for a video on that guy here. We did complete a lot of work to that thing. So, now for the Fan RC Graphite. Man, this video is getting long, so I apologize, but for the Fan RC Graphite, 4 hours 31 minutes in, we were BQ of the Bmain, and the changes obviously worked from Q3, so we just left the changes in there, and we started on pole. At about the second lap in, I got passed by a B7 driven by Turkey, and he just kept in front of me the rest of the race. And he would scratch a few tenths, and he may make a mistake. I think one time he made a mistake, and I got pretty close to him. However, in the end, he got us by about 4 seconds, I think it was. So we turned a race pace at 20 laps, 5:07, best race pace of the night with the Fan Graphite, and then our fast lap was a 14:05, and we ended up finished second in that race. So overall, not too bad a deal there. So I can't expect any more. I mean, when you just show up, throw a battery in, and kind of throw it on the track without much practice, I mean, the results are what the results are. So man, I'm pretty tired. I got a long day today, so wanted to get this out. Link below to more if you want to watch some of the race footage. But we had a great time, and I am looking forward to now. The next step is we did get some more tires last night, because I believe those tires are starting to get blown out. So we're going to mount some more tires up. I got a set for the 870C, and I got a set for the long arm, and we are taking those to the track. And look for videos on both of those coming up this week for the race prep, but we're going to take those to the track next week for a comparison, and we're going to do a Top Gear style list. So in the end, we'll race all these cars, and we'll see where they all stand against each other. So I'm pretty excited. I'm excited more is having a vintage race in March, and I can't wait to go there and absolutely dominate, because I'm the only one racing vintage cars, and my setups are done, and I think that's going to give me a huge advantage. But comment, like, subscribe down below, guys. We're going to have some more great videos coming up. We have some great projects hitting the channel here as well. So there'll be some good videos this week of things coming up. We'll finish up our 91 works, and you guys will take a look at that. Our long arm, we're going to finish up, get that done, get a body painted for that, and get those ready for the track this weekend. And then our Schumacher Cougar 2 should arrive later this week. And then our RC10 Pan long arm. Parts are already stacking up over there. So all I need is the pan, and order a few bits here and there, and we'll have that thing ready to go as well. RC10T, and then the RC10 four-wheel drive got released. And you can bet you're going to see that on this channel. So that will be coming as well. So again, guys, thanks for everything. Thanks for the patience watching this video if you've endured it. Or if you didn't want to watch this video, I hope you just clicked on the links below with the timestamps and watch some of the race footage. And these cars can be competitive. It's just how much time do you want to put into them as far as prep, and then some time for practice, because had I put in a little bit more practice time, I think we would have done a little bit better. Maybe not so much in four-wheel drive, but certainly in two-wheel drive. I think we could have done a little bit better as well. So again, guys, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.